but when you said, I hold 1,000,000 cards in your game of woke victimology poker, and when I leave California, maybe you've lost your effing mind, just maybe.
So Jillian Michaels did an interview recently on Fox News. And for those of you who don't know, Jillian Michaels used to be pretty left, pretty liberal, and she has slowly become more moderate and is now definitely more conservative, more right-wing. And she brings up quite a few points, quite a few opinions in this interview, and I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to discuss how the left and the right seem to know a lot of what the problems are, but disagree about who is responsible.
I grew up in California, and I have all of the reasons to be a, quote, liberal. And in the classic sense of what that means to me, it means live and let live. But where the left has gone, it's completely antithetical to that. It's the opposite of that. It's almost fascistic on the extreme left.
Now, we're going to go through some of the points and opinions that she raises, but I wanted to start with this clip because we are at a point now where left voters and right voters are calling the other group fascistic. We can all agree there are a lot of problems right now in the United States of America for being a citizen. You're a citizen here, you're having a lot of problems, especially if you're not one of the absolute bonkers rich citizens out there. There aren't many. And everyone thinks they know who to point the finger at. There's a lot of finger pointing, and guess what? All of the fingers are pointed in the wrong freaking direction. And I want to actually start with my favorite example that she brought up about the homelessness crisis, specifically in California.
24 billion went to work on that crisis, and there's nothing to show for it, and homelessness has gone up. And if you think that it's empathetic to allow people to literally die on the streets, it's not.
Over the last 5 years, California has spent over $20 billion addressing the homelessness crisis. Yet, homelessness numbers are up. More people are homeless now in California than ever. She's right. That's a problem. It's a massive problem. Where has all that money gone? Is it the voters' fault? Is it these liberal voters? No. It's local governments and nonprofits who are not accounting for the money that they are receiving. Here's the problem, is that you can't just throw money at the problem. It helps. If you lower rent, if you pay for some people's rent, that is going to help. That is going to put a roof over quite a few people's heads. But unfortunately, if someone has severe mental health issues, if they have a severe drug addiction, paying for their rent is not going to solve the problem. In addition to the question of, are the methods we're using being effective, not being asked? In addition to that, you can't just throw money at this problem because it's a systemic problem. There is more to it than just, well, we'll just throw some money at them. There's the cost of living. There is the minimum wage. There is how much people are earning versus how much people have to spend in order to live. There are a lot of problems here. So homelessness can't just be solved by throwing money at it. So we can all agree that it's a problem. And we can all agree that there's a problem with how much money is being spent versus how much effectiveness is actually being done. What we don't seem to be able to agree on is whose fault that is. And the result of that is we end up calling each other fascistic and demonizing everything about the other side, about the other voter base.
There is a war on our kids going on right now, or pushing this sort of gender-affirming ideology on young kids. And here's the thing, if a child is trans, okay, great, support that child, but and what I mean by that is I would let my kids explore it. I would never judge them. I would talk to them about it. I might get them some help to really deal with what's going on.
You see how it turns into the left is waging war on our kids? You see how it leans into we must trans the kids, we must gay the kids? When the reality is, here is this woman that considers herself to be more conservative. And she is saying, if a kid is trans, support that child. That's exactly what the left is saying. But we've been taught to demonize each other. And guess why? And guess who taught us that? While we are so busy infighting about culture war issues, guess who pit us against each other? The people who are actually responsible for the most of the problems in your life. The people in power and the people with the most money. If they get you fighting about the war on kids in our schools with this gender ideology, if they get you fighting about critical race theory, guess what you're not thinking about? Them and how they have all the money and you don't have any. They've been doing it forever, since the foundation of America. When we instilled Jim Crow laws and we first started giving Black people the tiniest amount of rights, guess what they started doing? When Black people and poor white people started realizing that, wow, they really had a lot in common, and who was to blame for their poor quality of life, guess what they did? They pit those two groups against each other so that you couldn't figure out who was actually responsible. They lied to you in order to make this happen. For example, one of the points that Jillian Michaels raised in that interview is the fact that crime is up. Crime is terrible in California. Crime is down. Crime is down. That is a talking point you will hear on Fox News over and over again. If you look at the statistics, crime is essentially at an all-time low right now.
Here's the thing. Is crime a factor in people's vote? Yeah, for a majority of people, it is. In fact, for a majority, it's a major factor. Having said that, one of the things, as we explain to people, contextualize why you're going to see this conversation tonight, for Republicans, it's even more so. It's 3/4 of Republicans that say crime is a major factor in their vote. And look, a lot of this is going to happen with your favorite candidate, but Republicans do feel that if Donald Trump gets elected, that crime rate will go down, or at least further down, to your point, man.
Don't get me wrong, crime still exists, and it is a problem. But crime rates are down. They were up under President Trump, statistically, and they are down under President Biden. But that doesn't help them demonize the left in order to pit you against the left so that you and the left keep fighting each other and you don't realize who's actually to blame for all of your problems. You guys, please just remember, the more we become divided, especially the closer we get to this presidential election, we all, as voters, we all have more in common than we don't. I guarantee you, go talk to people. Get off the internet and go talk to real people, people who agree with you, people who disagree with you. And you will find we have more in common than we don't. Them keeping us divided, and by them, I mean the people in power, the people with the money, the people who benefit from us not thinking about those things, the more they keep us divided, the more they remain in power and with all the money, and the lower quality of life we all have. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out some of my content that isn't news related, you can check out my personal YouTube channel at Bad Gamer Wyatt. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Thank you.